I just took a week-long intensive with premier acting coach Larry Moss. Here's what I learned. So, who is Larry Moss? Larry Moss is, as I said, an acting teacher. He has studied with some of the historical greats such as Stella Adler and Sandy Meisner, and he's keeping the tradition of teaching going forward. He has coached some really heavy hitters throughout his years. Some of the people you might recognize would be Sutton Foster. He coached her in her Tony Award-winning performance of Anything Goes. He coached Helen Hunt in her award-winning performance of As Good as It Gets. He has also coached Hilary Swank in Boys Don't Cry and $1 Million Baby. She won Academy Awards for both of those. He has coached Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile, Academy Award nomination. He has coached, here's the one that most people know, Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator, The Wolf of Wall Street, Shutter Island, The Departed, even more than that. So, those are some of his credits. Why did I decide to go to Larry Moss? Well, I spent the last year or so studying specifically on camera technique and acting, and I've gotten really good at breaking down scripts, breaking down sides, primarily television sides, which tend to be shorter than play. I've gotten really good at breaking down those small stories and making them pop on camera, making my jokes land, making certain techniques work for myself. But what I haven't done in a long time is work on core acting technique, the core foundation. I haven't worked on things that are more intangible, less obviously visible. And it's just in my character to constantly want to develop and constantly want to challenge myself. And he had been in my awareness for a while. I had audited one of his classes years ago and thought he was the truth. And I knew he was coming to New York. He does 2 workshops a year in New York. And I reached out to my friend, Elizabeth, and we were both in class. And I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And she was like, yeah. And so we applied and we got assigned Closer by Patrick Marber. And that was one of my favorite stories when I was growing up and just starting acting. And we went and we prepared it. So that is the story of how I ended up there. Here is what I learned. The overarching lesson that I'm taking away from Larry Moss, and it might seem obvious, but when you have hit a plateau, sometimes this is not so obvious to you. It's that there is always another level. And again, that might seem obvious, but the reason that it was so exciting for me was because I felt I had started to get really good at providing naturalistic, really well-structured performances for camera. And what I stopped getting excited about were some of these performances only because I could not find the thing that drew me to acting in the first place, that magic that you might experience when you're first starting out in high school or college, or you really connect to something, or you have your heart beating. I remember when I was a teenager and I was doing his Dark Materials, which is now an HBO series coming, which I'm very excited for, and was a movie called The Golden Compass. But we did the play, and before it was a play that was 3 hours for part 1, 3 hours for part 2, and it was this fantastical play, and it demanded that you use your imagination. I was playing this armored polar bear, and I had this puppet head that was my polar bear, and I had this armor, and it was Yorick Byrnison, and it was just so outside of myself. And I haven't had that demand placed on me in television in a very, very long time, or film. And that muscle, that excitement, that imagination, that larger than life, that full body encompassing of your talent and your expression hasn't always been in demand. It's oftentimes more about being believable, being naturalistic, being able to be funny, to deliver jokes, to be unexpected and stuff, but imagination had started to wane for me, and I didn't know this is what I was missing. So he reawakened my imagination. He reawakened my desire, that burning fire of desire that I have for acting, or I'm now excited to explore parts and scenes that challenge me and force me to reckon with sides of myself that I may not be as comfortable flexing yet. He made me aware of new layers available to me in my voice. He made me aware of new colors. I actually felt like I met another person at this workshop. And what I mean by that is, in this scene in Closer, I have to allow myself to be so angry that I will hit a woman. And in real life, I would never allow myself to do that. I would calm the anger before that ever reaches that point. It's never really been safe to be angry in my life. You'll even see I smiled when I said that, because I tend to push away my anger, and he kind of just made me aware of that, of what my level of comfort is with different sides of myself. And he invited me to, in this safe space, discover them, explore them, let them out. And anger wasn't the only area, but this was one of the areas. And it just reminded me of how deep our instruments can be, and how deep our parts can go, and how these plays can demand this from you. They can demand your vulnerability and your anger and your sensuality and your humor and your innocence. And it was so thrilling to get to explore all of that in a play. And the scene, I think, was maybe 7 pages long, which is really long when you compare it to the average television and film scene. And it has lit a new fire in me that is very exciting to explore. So the number one thing I would say he gave me was this awareness. He reawakened my awareness. I think that's what a great teacher does in any area, is they make you aware of something that you were not aware of before. If I'm playing basketball and I'm dribbling and I'm taking these 2 steps and then I'm not getting the optimized jump, or I'm going here, and he just makes me aware that, hey, if you move the ball this way, you can shield from the defender. Just little things. Or, oh, if you use the rim here, you can use the rim to protect you from the defender. There's things that you wouldn't be aware of in basketball. I think I've just brought up basketball because I played a little bit, but soccer too, just being aware that if you take more than 2 touches, you can sometimes be killing the pace, killing the drive, killing the movement. And sometimes it's all about efficiency of touches. The difference between 2 touches and 3 touches can sometimes be the difference between a goal, or that it's a game of inches. And anybody who's played a sport kind of knows this idea of a game of inches. The small things that you're not aware of that you become aware of can be game breaking or game releasing, game freeing. So he heightened my awareness. He heightened my awareness of my imagination, of my voice, of my emotional capacity, and he gave me inspiration. And those are the things that I'm very excited to go forth on. He gave me an assignment that I'm taking on to a new play that I'm going to be working on and flexing some muscles. But I wanted to let you guys in on a little window with Larry Moss. If you get a chance to study with him, I know he does LA once or twice a year, and he comes to New York twice a year. And the way that they work is he comes for maybe 3 weeks, and in 1 week, it'll be 4 days. And you'll put your scene up on like a Tuesday and a Thursday, or a Monday and a Wednesday, and you have to apply to get in, so you have to have like a resume or whatever, but well worth it, and even auditing is worth it. But if you get a chance to work, take it. So that is my lesson, my core lessons from Larry Moss. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell so you can be aware of when I release new videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.